I want to talk to you today about something that has become a quiet crisis in modern health, something that I see more often in my practice. I consult with patients over 50 every day who are following all instructions. They purchase the newest supplies, spend a substantial amount of money on gym memberships, and use sophisticated apps to monitor their caloric intake. Nevertheless, they come to me with a familiar litany of concerns. Notwithstanding these efforts: persistent joint pain, a creeping sense of brain fog, and a fear of the chronic diseases that seem to be an inevitable part of aging in our society. A troubling and profound paradox is in play. We live in a time of unprecedented advancements in technology and medical knowledge. However, our lifespan is outpacing our health span, which is the number of years we live with full function and vitality. We are not necessarily living better, but we are living longer. This decline may be due to a lack of focus rather than a lack of effort. Metrics like calories burned and miles run have become our obsession, while ignoring the fundamental principles that maintain a body's resilience and a mind's acuity as we age. Let's now compare this to what we see in other regions of the world, particularly Japan. A nation where the percentage of citizens living independently and in good health over the age of 100 is astounding. For decades, scientists looked to their diet or genetic predispositions for the solution. However, further in-depth research, such as those from reputable institutions like Harvard Medical School, discovered a more essential truth. There was no complicated formula that held the key to their remarkable longevity and vitality. However, in a series of easy daily motions. These workouts are not grueling. They are subtle, deliberate habits that are woven into everyday life's fabric. Western medical science formerly overlooked them because they were so basic. The first of them is called Sampo, or slow walking, and it redefines what we think of as walking for exercise. Practice 1. Forget the pavement pounding, the heart rate monitoring, and the power walking. This practice is deliberate and meditative. The pace is slow, possibly half of what you would normally walk at. It is often accompanied by a particular, soothing breathing pattern, a short hold for 2 steps, a gentle inhale over 2 steps, and a 4-step, slow, complete exhale. This is quite powerful from a physiological standpoint. The parasympathetic nervous system, which is our body's rest and digest system, is activated by this kind of slow, dialectical breathing. It serves as a direct counterbalance to the sympathetic fight or flight reaction or chronic stress state that many of us experience. This activation calls the whole cardiovascular system, lowers cortisol levels, and lowers blood pressure. However, the magic deepens. You have to alter your biomechanics since you are walking so slowly. Every step turns into a deliberate rolling motion from the heel to the ball of the foot and toes, rather than hitting the ground hard. The thousands of mechanoreceptors on your foot soles are stimulated by this action. Your brain receives a rich stream of data from these nervous endings, particularly to the vestibular system and cerebellum, which are in charge of balance and spatial awareness. As we become older, this proprioceptive feedback from our feet decreases as our need on vision for balance grows. Sampo directly strengthens and retrains this essential mind-body link. These advantages were highlighted in a long-term study from Kyoto University. It was shown that seniors who engaged in this daily practice had much more elastic arteries and a gait that resembled those who were decades younger. When feasible, it is important to begin with natural, somewhat uneven surfaces like grass. The stabilizing muscles in your ankles and feet are more challenged and engaged as a result. This is a daily recalibration of body and brain, not just a walk. Radio Taizo, another Japanese institution, is based on the principle of gentle, daily maintenance. Exercise 2. A simple piano melody is broadcast across the nation every morning at 6:30 a.m., marking the beginning of a series of soft, flowing motions lasting 3 minutes. It was created in 1928 and is still used by millions of people today. It is not a contemporary fitness fad. From school children to executives in corporations to retirees. 13 rhythmic movements, including as side bends, knee lifts, and gentle arm circles, are performed in a continuous, graceful flow throughout the routine. Strong poses are not held, and breaking a sweat is not the aim. Its purpose, to lubricate the joints, is what gives it its brilliance. The cartilage that lines our joints lacks a direct blood supply. Synovial fluid gives it nutrients and lubrication. This fluid is viscous and thick while we are still, especially after a night of sleep. This fluid is warmed by a gentle, full-range movement similar to that of radiotaizo, nourishing the cartilage and reducing friction by decreasing its viscosity and letting it flow freely. This explains why morning stiffness is such a frequent grievance. In the absence of this daily exercise, stiffness may become chronic, resulting in pain and a reduced range of motion. Remarkable results have been seen in scientific studies of older adults who practice radiotaizo daily: significantly fewer falls, a notable decrease in chronic back pain, and the ability to maintain hip and shoulder mobility well into their 80s and 90s. The actual routine lasts for only 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Without any equipment, it can be done anywhere. Performing it shortly after waking is the most profound benefit. When the body's levels of growth hormones are at their highest point, making your tissues and muscles more receptive to this gentle kind of renewal. You may invest in your long-term mobility with this easy daily investment. The issues I see in my patients are related to instability and stiffness. Are often the direct consequence of a conveniently designed environment. However, it detracts from our physiology. The chair is the primary culprit. Our hip flexors are shortened, our hamstrings are tightened, and our gluteal muscles are weakened by chronic sitting, resulting in a series of problems ranging from poor posture to back pain. A fundamental human posture that most people in the West have lost has been preserved in Japan thanks to a floor-based culture, the resting deep squat. Activity 3: elderly people in their 70s and 80s rest comfortably in a full squat in parks, with their backs straight and their heels flat on the ground. The majority of Western adults over 50 find it difficult, if not impossible, to maintain this position for more than a few seconds. This is an important indicator of musculoskeletal health, not only a matter of flexibility. The deep squat is a restorative pose in terms of biomechanics. It enables the hips to move through their full range of flexion, which is essential for avoiding arthritis and impingement. By gently stretching the vertebrae apart, it naturally decompresses the lumbar spine, relieving pressure on the discs. Additionally, it fortifies the pelvic floor, a set of muscles necessary for bladder control and core stability. A problem that becomes more significant as one ages. A thorough 12-year study including more than 5,000 seniors discovered a significant correlation. The likelihood of requiring assisted living later in life was 70% lower in those who could hold a deep squat for at least 2 minutes. Their hip mobility, knee health, and general functional strength were all directly reflected in their ability to maintain this position. It is possible to regain this ability, but patience is needed. For support, I suggest that my patients begin by holding onto a sturdy chair or countertop, giving them permission to lower themselves as much as is comfortable. Because of tight calf muscles and Achilles tendons, it is rather common for your heels to lift off the ground. A tiny rolled-up towel can be used to support them. Holding the position for a few seconds at a time, several times a day, is the goal. Gradually increasing your longevity and decreasing your need on assistance. There is no exercise in the conventional sense here. Your body is remembering how it was meant to rest and align. Once you regain this ability, you may start repairing decades worth of chair damage. Restoring joint health from the ground up. We proceed to a practice that directly targets the brain's capacity to maintain equilibrium from this foundation of a stable base. Japanese physicians do not only provide medication for age-related issues. This easy habit of standing on one leg for 1 minute twice a day is often prescribed. Exercise for although this may seem little to some, the research that went into it is really robust. Over 12,000 older adults were the subject of a 15-year study conducted at Fukuoka University. Found that this practice was linked to 75% fewer hospitalizations related to falls and 68% fewer hip fractures. An older adult's fall may be a catastrophic event that changes their whole life, often signifying the start of a swift decline in independence. Furthermore, a person's capacity to balance on one leg has been reported by researchers at the Mayo Clinic, is a stronger indicator of longevity than their blood pressure or cholesterol levels. What? Because it's a direct, in-the-moment test of your whole nervous system. Your brain receives a constant stream of information from your eyes while you stand on one leg. The vestibular system in your inner ear, as well as the proprioceptors in the ankle, knee, and hip of your standing leg. It responds by sending hundreds of signals per second, telling your muscles to make tiny, subconscious micro-adjustments to keep you upright. Neural pathways are being built, reinforced, and illuminated by your brain. Stand next to a wall or countertop for support to start safely. Fix your gaze on a point in front of you and lift one foot only an inch or two off the ground. Increase the duration gradually, starting with 20 or 30 seconds on each leg. As you become better, you may introduce challenges like closing your eyes for a short while on a slightly unstable surface, such as a folded towel. One of the best ways to age-proof your body and brain is with this easy, 1-minute habit, significantly lowering the likelihood of a debilitating fall. We've spoken about re-establishing the body's basic postures and preparing it for morning movement. These components are integrated into the following 2 principles, which act as a test of our functional health as well as a means of actively enhancing it. In a society where it is customary to eat, drink tea, or watch television while seated on the floor, it is practiced dozens of times a day to get up and down from the ground. The majority of Westerners actively avoid this movement. However, the capacity to transition from standing to sitting on the ground, and then getting back up without using your hands for assistance might be the most crucial sign of how well you are aging. The University of Tsukuba conducted a groundbreaking study that tracked thousands of older adults and created the so-called sitting-rising test. Exercise 5. They came to astounding conclusions. Those that were able to execute this motion without using their hands, or used only one hand for support, the mortality rate was significantly lower compared to those who required extensive use of their hands, knees, or other forms of assistance during the next 6 years. This strong correlation is due to the fact that this transition is fundamentally neurological rather than just a physical act. It requires a complex interaction of lower body strength, core stability, hip and knee joint flexibility, and the brain's motor planning. It is an all-encompassing test of the integrated function of your body. You start to lose your independence if you lose this capacity. A crucial turning point occurs when a person can no longer get off the floor by themselves. However, practice may reverse this decline, therefore it is not inevitable. I urge my patients to begin in a controlled manner. Practice lowering yourself into a kneeling position by placing a cushion on the floor and using a sturdy chair for support. Practice getting back up after that. Reducing your reliance on such support gradually over the course of weeks and months is the aim. Remarkable strength and confidence can be built with just 2 or 3 of these transitions per day. This has not to do with becoming a gymnast. It's about making sure you have the coordination and mental fortitude to spend as much time as possible living independently and safely in your own house. In its simplicity, the last habit may be the most deceptive. A towel is the only common household item needed. Many Japanese centenarians credit this movement, known as Tenuvai Hibiki, as their key to being resilient and focused. Exercise 6. How it operates is here. With your arms extended and your hands slightly wider than your shoulders, hold a towel at shoulder height. As if you were trying to rip the towel in half, gently pull your hands outward. This immediately activates the deep stabilizer muscles in your shoulders, back, and core by creating an isometric tension. You keep your hips facing front and slowly twist your torso to one side while maintaining this outward tension. After 3 seconds of holding, go back to the center and twist to the other side. You spend around 2 minutes doing this. The combination of rotational movement and isometric tension is what gives this movement its genius. Deep muscles, such as the transverse abdominalis and the multifidus muscles along the spine, are activated by this particular stress, which are crucial for spinal stability but often dormant during traditional workouts. Brain scans have shown that movements such as this one that cross the midline of the body while under tension, activate the brain's 2 hemispheres at once, which may improve memory, reaction time, and coordination. Those who performed this 2-minute towel twist every day lived, on average, 7 years longer, according to a 20-year study of 15,000 Japanese elders. Their grip strength, a crucial indicator of seniors' general health, continued to be strong. Additionally, their bone density was comparable to that of those 20 years younger. It is crucial to start from where you are right now before starting any of these movements. Please be kind to yourself if you have a history of joint pain, previous injuries, or long-term sedentary behavior. Consistency, not intensity, is the focus of these practices. Always seek support by working close to a wall or a sturdy piece of furniture. Above all else, pay attention to your body. Instead of pushing through, pain is a signal to pause and reconsider. Fighting the aging process is not the goal here, it is a fight we will not win. The objective is to move intelligently and collaborate with your body to maintain its strength, function, and independence. A gym and expensive gear are not needed. A few minutes a day and a change in view are all you need, from chasing an eligible anti-aging ideal for all the years you have, to accept a sustainable, dignified, and practical path to living well.